A voice that changed the face of Japan. A man who fought for his nation until the very last moments of his life. And a story, not just of politics, but of determination, passion, and sacrifice. This is the story of Shinzo Abe, the longest-serving Prime Minister of Japan. A man who took his childhood dream to the global stage. And then, in a single moment, his voice fell silent forever. You might think, politics is just a game of power. But in Abe's story, there was something far greater than the seat of power. A deep love for his country. Every decision came with a heavy price. And he paid that price with his health, and eventually, his life. This isn't just a political story. It is the story of a man who did not belong to his time. He belonged to his vision. September 21, 1954. Tokyo, Japan. Born into a family where politics ran in the blood. Abe's grandfather, Nobisuke Kishi, had once been Prime Minister of Japan. His father, Shintaro Abe, was a senior foreign minister. A home where serving the nation was not just a duty, it was a tradition. From a young age, Abe saw how a single decision could change the fate of an entire country. And maybe that's why, in the heart of young Abe, there was a hidden dream. That one day, he too would serve his nation. After graduating from Keio University, Abe moved to America. In Southern California, he studied political science. There, he witnessed how politics worked in a different part of the world. But his career's beginning wasn't easy. He worked in Japan's foreign ministry, and later in the business sector. Yet deep inside, a voice kept telling him, "This is not my destination. I must hold the steering wheel of my country." 1993, Abe officially stepped into politics. By becoming a member of the Liberal Democratic Party, LDP. He entered the Japanese parliament. He wasn't just a new face. He was the next chapter of a powerful political legacy. Abe's voice was sharp, his stance firm. And his style, something Japanese politics had rarely seen before. Japan stood at a political crossroads. And in that moment, Shinzo Abe rose to the top. At just 52 years old, he became Japan's youngest prime minister since World War II. A wave of hope swept through the nation. People believed this was the leader who could modernize Japan, without forgetting its traditions. But power is never just a gift. It is a battlefield. And Abe was about to face storms that no one saw coming. From the outside, it looked perfect. A charismatic leader with a powerful family name. But inside the government, cracks began to show. A series of scandals in his cabinet. Public trust slipping away. And behind closed doors, Abe's health began to fail. He was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. A painful, chronic illness that drained his strength day by day. In politics, weakness is blood in the water. And the sharks were circling. 2007. Only 1 year after taking office, Abe shocked the nation. Standing before the press, he announced his resignation, citing his worsening health. For the people, it was disbelief. For his opponents, it was victory. For Abe, it felt like the end. But sometimes, a fall is not the end of the story. Sometimes, it is the very beginning. Abe's vision had a name, Abenomics. A bold plan to pull Japan out of decades of economic stagnation. 3 arrows. Aggressive monetary easing. Massive fiscal stimulus. And deep structural reforms. It was risky. It was ambitious. And it was exactly what Japan needed. For the first time in years, the world looked at Japan and saw momentum. Even after stepping down, Abe did not fade into the shadows. He campaigned for his party. He mentored young politicians. He remained a towering figure in Japanese politics. When he walked into a room, he still carried the presence of a prime minister. And so, on July 8, 2022, when he stepped up to give a speech in Nara, Nobody imagined it would be his last. It was 11:30 a.m. The summer sun was high. Abe was mid-sentence, speaking with his usual calm authority, when two gunshots cracked through the air. For a moment, the world froze. Security rushed in. People screamed. Abe collapsed to the ground, blood on his shirt. He was airlifted to the hospital. Doctors fought for hours. But at 5:03 p.m., Japan's former prime minister was gone. In Tokyo, the flag was lowered to half-mast. In Nara, flowers began to pile up where he had stood. Across Japan, people wept openly. Some had agreed with his politics. Some had opposed him fiercely. But on that day, every Japanese heart felt the loss. It wasn't just the death of a leader. It was the end of a chapter in Japan's history. If there's one lesson in Abe's story, it's that a fall does not define you. Your comeback does. He stumbled. He rose. He fell again. But every time, he stood for something greater than himself. And maybe that's why, even in his absence, his presence remains. So when you think of Shinzo Abe, don't just think of a politician. Think of a man who dared to dream of a stronger Japan and paid the ultimate price chasing that dream.